Hello guys, in this video we'll explain how to use some important formulas, such as statistical formulas, logical and math formulas or functions. So let's say, for example, we need to solve these questions. First, I want to find the number of students. To find the number of students, I need to use a function that counts the number of students. In last video, we have seen a function called count, and this function, the count function, it counts the number of cells in a given range that contain only numbers. Now let's explain, or let's see another function called CountA. The CountA function, let's see the description of this function. So to insert a function in Excel or formula, we click on the formula tab, then click on insert function, and the function I need is called CountA, so I can search for CountA. Now, as we see here in the description of this function, the CountA function counts the number of cells in a range that are not empty. So this function counts all cells in a given range that contain anything except empty, which means it counts the cells that contain characters, text, values, numbers, except the empty cells are not counted. So now if I want to count the number of students, using the CountA function, I can specify the range of student names, for example, here from B3 to B7, and the CountA function display the number of students. So CountA function, it counts the number of cells that are not empty in a given range. So here the range B3 to B7 contains text, the names of students, so these cells will be counted by the function called CountA, and the number of students now is displayed here, 5. Now let's introduce another function or another count function. Let's say here I need to find the number of missing grades in final exam. Here in the final exam column, I have a grade missed, or this student missed this exam, so he doesn't have a grade in the final exam. Now we need to use a function and to find the number of missing grades or the number of empty cells in this range. I have a function called Countblank. This function counts the number of empty cells in a given range. So how to use it here? If I provide this range of grades for the final exam to the function called CountBlank, it counts the number of missing grades or empty cells, the number of empty cells that represent a missing grade for a student. So to find the number of missing grades in final exam, I need to insert the function called CountBlank Here in the description, as we see, the CountBlank function counts the number of empty cells in a specified range of cells. So the range of cells here is the final exam, which means H3 through H7. Now if I click OK, the number of missing grades in final exam, it's equal to 1. Of course, I don't need decimal places. Now we need to find the number of students with 0 absences. So I want to count the number of students that are not absent in any, or not absent in this course, for example. So here I want to count something based on a certain condition. So my condition here is the students with 0 absences. So here the absences is equal to 0. I want to count the number of students that have 0 absences. So how to do it? I have a function called CountIf. So the CountIf function, it counts the number of cells in a given range based on a provided condition or a certain condition. So here we need to find the number of students that have 0 absences only. So let's insert the function called CountIf. The CountIf function counts the number of cells within a range that meet the given condition, which means based on a certain condition. Now if I click OK, here, what is the range that I'm evaluating or checking the condition on? The absences range. And what is my criteria or my condition? 0, which means the student has absences 0 or equal to 0. So in this range from C3 to 37, the CountIf function search for cells that contain 0 and count this cell. So now if I click on OK, the number of students with 0 absences is equal to 2. So let's do it again. I need to find the number of students that has 0 absences. So the actual range that I testing my criteria or my condition is the absences range, which is from C3 to C7. And my condition or my criteria, what I'm searching for, I'm searching for the students that has 0 absences. So the criteria is 0, which means the CountIf function search in this range the cells that contain 0 and count them. So now if I click on OK, the number of students with 0 absences is equal to 2, which is true. Ben and Jason. Now let's say we want to calculate the total number of absences of the students with final grade less than 60. So all the students that have final grade less than 60, I want to calculate the number of absences or the total number of absences for all students. So here, for example, I have two students below 60, Tim and Alex here. Now, the number of absences of these students, the total number is equal to 7 plus 5. So a 7 plus 5, which is equal to 12. So now I want to introduce a function to achieve my I have a function called SumIf. The SumIf function, it sum or calculate the summation of a data within a range based on a certain condition. So my condition here is that final grade less than 60. So I want to check in the final grade range the grades less than 60, and what I'm finding or calculating the total of, I want to calculate the total of absences. So I want to summate the absences of all the students that has final grade less than 60. So here I want to insert the SumIf function. In the description here, the SumIf function adds the cells specified by a given condition or criteria. So here in the range area, I want to provide the range of cells that I'm evaluating my condition on, not the range that you want to summate the data in it. In the range here, now the range and the criteria are bolded together, and in the description here, Microsoft Excel tells me that range is the range of cells you want evaluated. So here I want to provide the range of cells that I'm testing my criteria or my condition on. So what is the range of cells here to test my criteria or my condition? I'm testing or evaluating the final grade of the students. So the range is equal to I3 through I7. And what is the criteria or the condition? The condition is less than 60. So I'm searching the range of final grades from I3 to I7. I'm searching the condition where the grade is less than 60. Okay, and the sum range here is the actual cells to sum, which means here I want to provide the range that I want to summate the data inside it. So what is the range here that I want to summate? I want to find the total number of absences. So here the range or the sum range will be C3 to C7, the range of absences. Now let's explain it again. In the range, I want to provide the range of the cells that I'm evaluating my condition on. So here I'm testing my condition on the final grade, which is the range from I3 to I7. Why? Because I want to find or calculate the total number of absences of the students with final grade less than 60. So the range of evaluation here is the range of final grade from I3 to I7, and here the criteria or condition is less than 60. So I'm searching for the cells or for the rows that has final grade less than 60. Now I want to provide here the sum range or the actual range that I want to summate here. For example, the absences. So it's C3 to C7. Now if I click on OK, the total number of absences of the students with final grade less than 60 is equal to 12, which is true because here I have Tim and Alex that has grades less than 60, and they have both 7 plus 5, which is equal to 12 absences. Now let's calculate the average final grade of all students with absences only, which means I want to find the average of the students that have absences without the students that has 0 absences. So here I have the final grades. I want to calculate the average final grade of all the students with absences only, which means for these 3 students without Ben and Jason. So here I want to calculate the average. I have a function called average, but here I have a certain condition. What is the condition? The condition is the students that has or that have absences. So I want to use a function called AverageIf. As we see here, if you want to find the summation of something based on certain condition, I want to use the SumIf, the CountIf if we have a condition. So here I want to use the function called AverageIf. Now if we insert the AverageIf function, I can search for it here. Now the AverageIf finds the average for the cells specified by a given condition or criteria. Here the same applied on the SumIf will be applied here. The range is the range of cells you want evaluated. So I'm evaluating what? The absences of student. I'm testing the absences of students based on the criteria that the students with absences, which mean if they have 1 absence or 2 or 3, they have absences, but if they have 0 absences, so they don't have absence. So I want to find in this range of absences all the cells that have absences greater than 0. Greater than 0, which means they have at least 1 absence. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they have absences. What I want to do later, I want to find the average. So the average range here, average of what? Average of final grade. The actual range to find the average is the final grade range. So it's I3 to I7. So in the range here, I want to provide the range that I am evaluating my condition on. which is the range of absences, because the condition is the students with absences only. So I'm providing here the range of absences from C3 through T7, and the criteria is with absence only, which means that I want to find the students that has at least one absence, which is equal to greater than 0. This is the criteria, and the average range will be the range that I want to find the average in. So it's the final grade range from I3 through I7. Now if I click on OK, this is the average of these grades only for these students. Now let's explain a function called if function. So for example, let's say that I want to display the result here, pass fail, the result for each student, knowing that the passing grade is 60. So here I have the final grade for each student. I want to test whether this final grade is greater or less than 60. So if this grade is greater than 60, that means this student has passed. Otherwise, if this grade less than 60, this students fail. So I have a function called if function, or if statements that test a certain criteria or condition and display anything I want if the value if true of the condition, otherwise display another thing if the condition is false. So let's see here how to insert the if function. So I'm searching for the function called if. It checks whether a condition is met and return one value if true and another value if false. So here what I'm testing, the logical test, I'm testing if the final grade here, let's say greater than or equal 60, I'm testing if the final grade in this row is greater than or equal 60, value if true, which means if this condition is true, what I want to display, I want to display that the student has passed. So here, for example, the final grade, which is available in the cell I3, is equal to 95, which means it's greater than or equal 60, and this result will be pass because this student has grade greater than 60. So here in the logical test, we provide the condition, which is I3 greater than or equal 60, and if this condition is met or is it true, we display this value here in the value if true area. Or otherwise, if this criteria is not met or is false, we display the data here from the value if false area. Here I want to display if the condition is not met, which means if the final grade is less than 60, I want to display fail. Now if I click on OK, as we see here, this student has passed. I can here drag my function on the other cells to apply the same function and display if the students has passed or failed based on the passing grade, which is equal to 60. So let me do it again. I want to use the if function, and here first I want to provide the logical test, which is the criteria or the condition. What is the condition here? I am testing whether the final grade, which is in I4, is greater than or equal 60. Now I want to provide the value if true, which means if the grade is greater than or equal 60, what I want to do, I want to display pass. Otherwise, which mean if this criteria is not met or is false, that means the final grade is less than 60. I want to display failed. Now if I click enter, the student passed. I can drag to fill other cells with the same formula. Now, as we see here, these students has failed. Because why? Because they have final grade less than 60.